This is Financially Fit Radio with Cory Sickles from Safe Harbor Retirement Group. When a part of your financial strategy is out of tune, your long-term goals, your retirement savings, and your legacy can all suffer. With many years of experience in the financial industry, Cory provides his clients and prospects with the information they need regarding Social Security, retirement income planning, wealth management, and much more. Listen in as we address your financial concerns and provide helpful solutions to put you on the path to achieving your retirement goals. And now, here is Financially Fit Radio with Cory Sickles.
Welcome back to another episode of Financially Fit Radio. I'm Cory Sickles with Safe Harbor Retirement Group and Wealth Advisors. If you'd like more information about today's show, just feel free to reach out to us. You can give us a call at 614-760-0670, or you can always visit us online at safeharboroh.com. If you're checking out our website, make sure you check that radio page out. You can listen to previous episodes, as well as you can also subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Google Podcast, or Spotify. Also, feel free to watch videos on our YouTube page. You can check out the Financially Fit Radio there as well, but you can also watch other financial topics at your leisure from your house. You know, we're really here to address any inquiries or questions you might have about retirement. Just remember, all of our meetings are complimentary. There's no obligation. We're really here to help and guide you to make sure that you have the best retirement that you want. So today we're going to talk about, I think, something that's everyone should have, and that's a Roth IRA. We're going to talk about the strategies and the benefits of a Roth IRA. I think it's a good topic, especially at the beginning of the year as you start thinking about where I should actually place money for saving. Before we kind of dive into that, let me introduce to you my co-host this week and every week, and that's Tony Shore. Tony, how are you today?
I'm very good, Cory. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm excited to be here. This is a good topic. You know, we've touched on it briefly before. You've talked about Roth IRAs, but it is such an important part of an overall strategy, and so many people can benefit by utilizing Roths, but you need to understand them and the rules surrounding them. So there are strategies and benefits and requirements, so you have to look at that. We're going to talk about that today. I've got a lot of questions for you.
Sure.
I've had a great weekend, got to spend it with my family, been doing good. How about you, Cory? What have you been up to?
You know, just mainly right now working, and you know, before we kind of get started here, Tony, one thing I'll say is, you know, wish you an early happy birthday. I know it's going to be it's going to be next weekend, but yeah, you know, we need to enjoy those days. I know you have a little fun activity, a little indoor golf up there in Minnesota.
Yep.
And
with the family.
Yep. We were talking before the show, and you know, I was hoping to get up there this year to do a little ice fishing, but I think it's actually too warm up there in Minnesota to actually, you know, accomplish that.
I personally wouldn't attempt it. It's been a little warm. I wouldn't trust the ice on the lakes to walk out there even. So it's going to be pretty slushy.
Yep. I guess I have to look forward to maybe April going up to I usually go up to the Maumee up there and do a little walleye fishing up there northern part of Ohio.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that'll be
nice.
Actually coming here pretty quick.
You could probably just go walleye fishing here in a boat.
You probably could do that as well.
This year, as warm as it's going to be.
Yeah, it's hard to believe how warm it's actually been here in February.
It's crazy. Yeah.
So, as well as early March.
Yeah.
You know, Roth IRAs. You know, I think that's something that really everybody should have. You need to be able to understand it. I'm really a firm believer, Tony, that you should, you know, pay your taxes now if you can. Because let's face it, where we are with taxes are going to have to go up at some point in time. We're at our lowest levels. We know that if they don't change anything, you know, we're going to go back to the 2017 or 2018 model, which is, you know, the 12% becomes 15, the 22 becomes 25, and the 24 becomes 28, and so forth. So, you know, one of the things that everyone really should look into is either contribute to a Roth IRA outside of your 401k or 403b. And you know, one thing that I don't think a lot of people are aware of is that you might actually have the opportunity to contribute, you know, to a Roth 401k or a Roth 403b, within, for the company that you work with today. It's something that I think a lot of companies have been doing over the last few years. And here's what I like about it is, yes, are you going to get the tax benefit of being able to contribute to a traditional IRA? And the answer to that is no, but you're already going to pay your taxes. And as that actually grows, tax deferred, when you do retire, it's going to come back to you tax free. You're not going to care what those tax brackets look like at that point in time.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's all about taxes. And a lot of people don't realize how much retirement planning, retirement income planning, and just investing is all about the tax situation and minimizing that tax burden, right?
That's exactly right. If you think about it, let's just say you have $1 million in a regular traditional 401k. If you're in a 20% tax bracket, you really only have $800,000, right?
Right.
Because you got to when you start taking that money out, you're going to have to pay taxes on that. Compared to if you have $1 million in a Roth IRA, you have $1 million to actually be able to spend, because when you take that money out, you are not going to pay taxes. So again, I'm a big believer in pay your taxes now, prepay them, so you can actually have that benefit when you're retired to be able to have that tax-free money. And we talked about inflation, some other things as well. And the nice part about not worrying about taxes, if you take $100 out, you get to spend $100. So it's gonna be even a little bit easier for you to actually keep up with inflation as you kind of go through retirement as well.
Yeah, inflation's a huge one. I mean, obviously, you want to do everything in your power to be able to keep up with inflation. That's why I'm just keeping my money under the mattress because I don't trust anything else, or I don't trust the banks or the stock market, or I'm just going to keep it in a savings account, low yield. These things don't work because of inflation. And we've seen that, especially the last couple of years.
That's exactly right. And, another thing, I think it's something that's important. And most of you, obviously we're not going to see this until you reach, the age of 72, 73, or 75. But those are the key dates, depending on your age, when you have to start taking what we call required minimum distributions out of your IRAs or your 401ks or your 403bs or your thrift savings plans. If you have that set up as a Roth IRA, you do not have to take that required minimum distribution out. So if you don't need that money, it can keep growing tax-free. And it's just something else that I think it's a huge benefit, is you don't have to take it out if you don't want to at that point in time.
Okay. Yeah, that's huge. So obviously, traditional IRA, at some point, they're going to force you to start taking it out and paying taxes on that money. With a Roth, you don't have the RMDs, the required minimum distributions, is what you're saying.
That's exactly right, which does a couple things. It allows you to keep it in there. It allows you to keep it growing tax-free. And at some point in time, you can take it out tax-free. Or one of the other, obviously, huge benefits that could take place is if you actually pass that money on to your beneficiaries, it's going to go tax-free as well, compared to a traditional IRA now, where you have to take that out over a 10-year period, which could obviously have a huge impact on your beneficiaries' income later on in life as well.
Yeah, you don't want to leave your kids or grandkids or loved ones with a tax burden, right? So if you want to leave some money to your kids or grandkids, a Roth IRA sounds like a great option for that. Put the money you want to leave to them in Roth, so when it passes on, they don't have a tax burden.
That's exactly right. And one of it's not odd, but I think it's one of the questions I get a lot from, clients and prospects that come in here is, they'll say, well, what can I invest my Roth IRA money into? And really, you can invest that money just the same way that you would a traditional IRA or what we call a non-qualified account. You're not restricted at all on where you want to be able to place those funds. So when we start talking about, traditional IRA or Roth IRA or non-qualified, those are just ways that they're going to be taxed. It has no impact on how you can actually invest those funds as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And you really need to know the ins and outs. I mean, obviously, Roth IRAs sound amazing, but there are certain qualifications and things you need to understand about them. Now, before we go on, Cory, let's take a second here to let our listeners know how they can get a hold of you if they want to talk about Roth strategies. You don't want to make a move without working with a financial services professional like yourself, as far as, rolling over money into a Roth, things like that.
Yeah. So for our listeners out there, just give us a call at 614-760-0670, where, again, you can always visit our website at safeharboroh.com. Again, we're here to help and guide you. I'd love to be able to sit down and talk with you about, the strategies and the benefits of a Roth IRA. But, our goal really is to be able to put together a financial plan so you can have a successful retirement. So if you don't have one, give us a call. We'll put one in place. And if you do have one, we'll be that second set of eyes and provide you a second opinion. It's so vital to make sure you have a financial plan heading into retirement. So again, give us a call at 614-760-0670. Or again, just visit us online at safeharboroh.com.
All right. Well, and I know there are pros and cons to Roth IRAs. I think for the most part, the pros greatly outweigh the cons, but everybody's situation is different, correct?
Everyone, yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, when someone comes in and meets with us, Tony, we have to, we might have, some of the same portfolios and strategies that we use, but really the question is which strategy is right for you.
Sure.
So we customize every situation, to meet your goals and what you're really trying to accomplish, for your retirement. Everyone's different. But I do firmly believe that everyone should have a Roth IRA, because that is tax-free money that's going to be able to come back to you at some point in time. And, let's talk another big difference here. So if you contribute money to a traditional IRA, I think a lot of people do realize that if you take money out of that prior to the age of 59 and a half, then you could be liable for a 10% penalty. Now, there's some exceptions around that, but you still have to pay your 10% penalty, plus you got to pay the taxes on that withdrawal as well. Now, with the Roth IRA, the benefit of that is you can actually have access to that money before you're 59 and a half, as long as you don't take out any of your investment growth. So any contributions that you have made into that Roth IRA, you will not be penalized at all for taking any of that money out. So it's a huge benefit if you want to be able to, maybe if you, for whatever reason, emergencies or whatever else, that you might need to be able to have some cash come out, so you can actually get access to those contributions that you made into that Roth account.
Interesting. So I didn't realize that you could take any money out of any IRA, a Roth, even a Roth, before you're 59 and a half without a penalty. But you're saying the principal can be withdrawn before you're 59 and a half if you need it for an emergency. But I know you've said on past shows, IRAs are retirement accounts and retirement vehicles. So I know you wouldn't recommend people touch that money until they're in retirement, because that's what it's for, right?
Well, that's exactly right. But I just know, when you go back and you look at 2020, COVID hit, people didn't have emergency funds. They needed access to cash. They lost their job and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
That could have been a way in order to kind of maybe fill that gap. The last thing you ever want to do is to be able to take money out of your retirement account, because that's going to have a huge impact later on in life. And before you do that, Tony, one thing I would highly recommend is you sit down with an advisor to make sure that this is the only option you have in order to meet the needs that you have at that point in time, because there might be a different type of solution that an advisor could come up with you that would be more beneficial for you,
that would save you some money, or allow that IRA to keep growing and compounding interest and all that. Yeah, and you're right. If there's what they call a black swan event, Cory, like COVID or something
Right.
like that. Yeah. Some people, sometimes you find if you lose your job unexpectedly, I mean, there are these things, they do happen. You're right. So it is good to know that's another advantage to a Roth then. One I haven't heard talked about that much is, I always hear don't touch your retirement accounts until you're 59 and a half. And people have always said the 59 and a half rule applies to Roths. However, it doesn't in the same way. It's only on interest earned.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So if you contributed $50,000, for example, and
Yeah.
and your Roth IRA grows to $100,000, you would be able to have access to $50,000 of that money without that 10% penalty. Now, if you take $60,000 out, then you'd have that extra $10,000 would have that 10% penalty.
Yikes! Plus taxes on that. Or no, not on a Roth.
Not on a Roth.
You'd have the 10% penalty, right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's just kind of talk about how much you can contribute on an annual basis. So if you set up a traditional Roth IRA account, you can contribute up to $7,000 a year.
Okay.
However, if you're over the age of 50, you also get $1,000 catch up as well. So you could actually do $8,000 here in 2024. Now, there are some restrictions based upon income levels, whether you're single or married. So I'd recommend that you actually talk with an advisor, your CPA, to make sure that you actually can meet those, that you can actually contribute to to a Roth IRA.
So if you make too much money, you can't. So there are regulations, right? Not everyone can contribute, right?
Yes, in a traditional. That is exactly right. However, what a lot of people get confused about, Tony, is can I also contribute to my personal traditional Roth IRA? And what happens if I'm actually contributing to a Roth IRA or a Roth 401k at work? Well, those are two separate things. So you can actually contribute up to $23,000. It's $23,000 this year into a Roth 401k, and if you're over the age of 50, then you have a $7,500 catch up. So you can actually contribute up to $30,500 into a Roth 401k. Again, I firmly believe if your company has that, that's something that you want to do. The one thing you have to probably just check with your company on is if they're doing a match. A lot of times the match is not on the Roth side, it's on the traditional side.
Right.
And you just need to make sure that if you contribute only to the Roth side, that you're still going to get the match on the traditional side. So, that's something to just check out, because you don't want to give up any of that free money as well that you're going to be getting from your company for your 401k or 403b.
Yeah. Interesting. So, and there is a way, So there are caps on the traditional, but there's, certain people might not be able to contribute to a Roth if they make too much money as well, right?
That's exactly right. You might not be able to contribute to it on the traditional side. And the other thing that I think most people need to realize is for 2023, you can contribute up till April of 2024 before you file your taxes for the 2023 tax year. So you do have a little bit of time. We have about a month left here where you can actually contribute for 2023 if you did not make that contribution last year.
Yeah. But I wanted to clarify, what about a Roth? You said for the traditional, but on a Roth IRA, there are income limits as to people. If you make over a certain amount, you can't contribute to a Roth as well, right?
That's exactly right. When you start making, I'm just looking at some stats here, Tony.
Sure.
If you're married, you start making somewhere around 100. If you're single, around $138,000. If you're married, around $218,000. You might not be able to contribute to a Roth.
Sure.
So again, if you're in that range of making that type of money, you might want to talk with your CPA or your financial advisor just to make sure that you can contribute to it. Now, if you do contribute and you find out that you shouldn't have, one of the things that obviously that we do is we're able to actually give the money back to you as well if you do over contribute to it. That's something that does happen every so often. But again, talk with your CPA and talk with your financial advisor to make sure that you can contribute to a traditional Roth account.
Yeah. So with the Roth, I know that there are ways, even if you make over that amount of money, to put money from a traditional into your Roth, you can still roll over money, right?
Yes, you can roll over money.
Yeah.
Now, I think one of the other big questions I think a lot of people have is, hey, I can't contribute to a Roth, and they have what they call like a backdoor type of Roth.
Yeah.
Roth. That's really what we were talking about, and really
Sure.
all we're really talking about is doing a Roth conversion on some of your traditional money, going from a traditional IRA to a Roth IRA.
Yeah.
Now, here's because a lot of people ask me a lot of questions about that, Tony, is how much can I convert on a year? Well, you can convert as much as you want because you got to pay the taxes on it, right? So the government's going to allow you to convert as much as you want to be able to do. But again, one of the things that you really need to do is sit down with an advisor and your CPA to find out what is the right type of or what is the right amount for you to convert to your to convert from a traditional to a Roth IRA.
Yeah, it depends on your tax situation, your tax bracket, your financial situation, and that's why just a CPA isn't necessarily going to help you. You need a financial advisor too, who's looking at the big picture and knows
Exactly
your
right.
overall financial picture, because it's not just about taxes, it's about the big picture and how it's going to affect you, not just for last year's taxes that you're doing now, but for taxes in the future when you're in retirement, right? That's what we're talking about.
That's exactly right. So, obviously one of the things that we try to do with our clients that are retired is we do really start looking aggressively on doing Roth conversions if it makes sense.
Yeah.
And, just one of the things I think everybody should do, and let's just say I'm going to use the 12% tax bracket as an example, Tony. But let's just say your net taxes are around $60,000 and you're married. Well, the 12% tax bracket goes to $93,000 in 2024. So you actually have some room where you could actually convert it traditional, still stay within your 12% tax bracket, but now you've converted that $30,000 or so into something that you're going to never have to pay taxes on. So one of the things what we really try to do with our clients is sit down with them, and we try to do any conversions normally that we try to do for clients are in the fourth quarter. We want to make sure that you didn't take out anything unexpectedly, throughout the year that maybe you needed additional money. But we try to get a really good grip on how much money you've spent heading into the fourth quarter to see if it makes sense to potentially do a Roth conversion. Again, not only will I be involved, but we'll also be running that by a CPA just to confirm that our numbers are correct before we do any type of Roth conversions. So it's a simple process to do, but you just need to make sure that you're doing it the right way. And when I say a simple process to do, I'm just talking about the mechanics that we actually can implement, for a client to take advantage of that.
Sure. That the actual process is simple, but figuring out what you should do and when, and if it's right for you, that is what really takes a lot of thought and careful planning. And, it's why you don't perform brain surgery on yourself, because you're not a brain surgeon. You need a surgeon. And with your finances, you need a financial professional who does this day in and day out, like you have for years, helping your clients with this.
Yeah. And we're just trying to put you in a better place to have the best retirement that you can. And the easiest way to be able to do that, believe me, and I think a lot of people realize this that have Roth IRAs in retirement, it's awesome to be able to pull money out and don't have to worry about paying any tax on it.
Yeah. Or if they have a set amount they want to leave to their children or grandchildren, but convert it, roll it over into a Roth so it's tax-free for them.
Yeah. And, and a lot of times what we'll end up doing, I have a lot of clients that want to give money to charities, right? So the IRAs go to the charities. The Roth goes to your kids and your grandkids or your other, whatever beneficiaries you want to be able to give that to. Because if you give a traditional IRA to a charity, odds are they're not going to pay any taxes on that. So you're actually being able to really create a legacy plan, for, not only, really for all the hard work that you've done your entire life.
Right. Well, I think this is great. Now we're almost out of time. So let our listeners know one more time, Cory, how they can get a hold of you.
Yeah, for our listeners out there, just give us a call at 614-760-0670. Or you can always visit us online at safeharboroh.com. As a reminder, all meetings are complimentary, no financial obligation. We're here to really, again, help to make sure that you have the best retirement that you can. The best way to do that is have a financial plan in place, and we're here to be able to put that in place for you or provide a second opinion if you already have one in place, just to, again, to make sure that you're going to have that worry-free retirement.
All right. Sounds good. And listeners, that does it for today's episode of Financially Fit Radio with our host, Cory Sickles.
Join us next week for another episode of Financially Fit Radio.
Thank you for listening to Financially Fit Radio. Don't pay too much for taxes or retire without a sound income plan. For more information, contact Cory Sickles at Safe Harbor Retirement Group. Call 614-760-0670 or visit their website at financiallyfitoh.com.
All matters discussed during the show are for informational purposes only. Each individual situation may vary, and the opinions expressed here may not apply to everyone. Materials presented are believed to be from reliable sources, and no representations can be made as to its accuracy. All ideas and information should be discussed in detail with one of our qualified representatives prior to implementation. We are not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration, the Federal Medicare Program, or any other government agency. Calling this number will direct you to a licensed sales agent.